main objective in this session is to learn or understand the components factors which we see once we run the explain statement on this specific query or any given query, right? So let's say if you want to execute the explain statement on this specific query, what are the ways we can do it? Okay, first way is simply click anywhere in this statement and then click on query and then run explain current statement. And once you do this, you'll be getting the nice visual explain statement here. Now, don't worry about all these numbers and then this nested loop algorithm and all those things. I'll be soon explaining this. But before this, let's see the other way to or other way to see the output. So if you see here, there are like two options: visual explain and tabular explain. If we click on tabular explain, you'll see the output in tabular format, right? And this is how it looks like. As I said, don't worry, I'll be explaining all of these columns and its values, how it is being used, and what these numbers, these types, and all those things, right? But for now, let's focus on these two types to see the explain statement output. In one way is to visual explain, the other way is to tabular explain. Now, let's see if you don't want to make use of workflow workbench, and if you simply want to evaluate the analysis using explain statement. So what you have to do is, basically I would like to create a copy of this query and then simply add explain before the select statement. And as soon as you run it, by default, it gives you the same output that you see here, right? So if I run this, as you see, it gives you the tabular information of this analysis. And by default, the format would be, it's like tabular explain. Now let's say you want to have this output in JSON format, right? So what you have to do is you have to explicitly specify the format as JSON. Now when you run this, you'll see the output in JSON format. So if you want to look at this output in the prettify manner, so simply click on open value in viewer after right clicking and click on JSON so that you can see the nice prettify format of this specific JSON response. Or you can copy in your favorite editor just to analyze that, right? So I'll do copy and then paste it, right? As you can see, this is the JSON object it has now. But in this case, I'll be making use of the visual explain and the tabular explain. So what I'll do is I'll go to the first point where I'll click anywhere in this select statement, query, explain current statement, and then I'll switch to the visual explain, right? And this is the output which we have. So before I deep dive into each of these numbers, rows, scan, and all those things, I would like to summarize the way of executing the explain statement, and that is, first, you can make use of workflow MySQL workbench to have the explain statement execution ready simply by clicking anywhere in the select statement and then click on view and then explain current statement. Second, add explain keyword before the select statement and then just execute the query by running this by selecting this option. Second, if you would like to see the output in any specified format, I believe only JSON format is supported, but you can have a look at the documentation if they are like any other format is supported. And in this case, we are making use of a JSON format. So add that format explicitly before select and after explain statement with additional spaces, and then run it so that you will have the output in JSON format. And these are the ways you can execute the explain statement on a given query.